This set for chats. YouTube is literally the worst.
I know. So
Okay, hold on. Just gonna get this up so you have chat. Hello, hello. We're back, kind of. What?
it's like metal. Can you just scratch it? Shit.
Hold on, folks. Okay, we're back. Um, you can have chat here. You can almost see it for a minute here, or you can pull it up on your phone. No, they want to see you. I had my hour. Can we do a poll? Who do they want to see? Lift off with movement. You guys want Chelsea back? I'm assuming yes. Where's Chelsea? Yep, everyone's already asking for you. So there you go. You can fix those. All right.
Are you going in?
Huh? Oh, now I need your phone though, because now I can't watch.
Oh my god.
It's a nightmare. Oh, everyone's angry.
Like, anyways. Anyways. Sorry about that, you guys. Lots of stuff going on here apparently. That's what we get for trying to do something efficiently. How dare we do that? I'm sorry, I'm looking at both. I'm gonna pull this over here. So maybe I'm gonna be looking down a lot though, because that's the only way I can like see chat. So on the phone, it's really stupid because it only pulls up one thing at a time. I don't even understand that. YouTube is bonkers. Like I don't know what they're thinking, like ever. There's another other stream listed. Huh. Hmm. Yeah, I broke it. It's because I look terrible. That's why. It's my fault. Oh, better quality on the phone? Yeah, I would assume so. They do one thing right, and I guess it's the picture on Apple phones. Did it? That's weird. The pop is shape. Hmm. I don't know what goes on there, man. Oh no, I don't. I look terrible. But thank you. But thank you for that. I'll look normal again one day, maybe. Perhaps. Ma, the meatloaf. That's all I ever think about when I hear that. We're still trying to decide what like I want to make her call her grandparents because I think there's so many fun names for grandparents. Like my personal favorite is from Arrested Development. They call her Gangy. I think that's the best. Uh, to be perfectly honest with you, physically I feel fine. I'm like, not like 100%, but I've had way worse things happen to me, way physically worse. So like in the hospital, I remember they were like moving me over after I just got out of surgery, and they're putting me in like my bed that I'm gonna stay in, and then they had two nurses like lifting me. They have like an inflatable thing that they do that they lift you over, and I like sat up and pushed up with my arms to help them, just to like stabilize myself. And one of them stopped and looked at me, and she was like, "I don't think I have ever seen anyone do that after they just had a C-section." They're like, she's like, "I can't even." No, she's like, "No one's ever done that." I was like, "Oh, okay, well, good." And then I had other doctors that were like, "How are you moving like this?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. Just it doesn't hurt that bad. Like I broke my pelvis. It was gnarly. This is nothing. Like having a child is nothing. It is something. It's a big deal, but you know what I mean." Ooh, your paradise gourami is making a bubble nest. That's exciting. I love our paradise fish. I love paradise fish in general. I don't even care what type. We have the black type, and I love them. I think they're beautiful. But they're just really underrated fish. Along with the spotted Congo puffer, which used to be extremely prevalent in fish keeping back in like the 60s and 70s, they also kept a ton of paradise fish. That was a super common fish to have. They can live in an unheated tank. They're super hardy. They're beautiful. I think they get a really bad rap because people say they're aggressive. I have not experienced that with any of mine, and I've kept many of them. So that'd be cool if they're having babies. Like he was saying in the other stream, we found paradise fish babies in like multiple tanks, and we just kind of been grouping them together as we find them. But for a $10 fish, like it can't get much better than that, in my opinion. Like they're real, and they do well in communities. I've kept them in communities, and they've been awesome. My grandma was Baba, but maybe that would be confusing with dad. That's funny. That's cute. I called my grandpa Bompa at first, but then he was just grandpa. I could speak normally. I mean, it can get real fun. It can get real fun with the names. But some grandparents will bestow titles upon themselves. Some will be given these titles. They will morph into other things over time. I'm sorry, I keep losing this stupid headphone. I have small ears. Nothing fits correctly. Yes, we're back, fish capades. Sorry about that. I'm sure it was me, just because I was in here doing something. But yeah, paradise fish, super underrated. Isn't it funny to also think, because I know I mentioned the spotted Congo puffers, they were like cheap fish back then that everybody had. Can you imagine just like paying $10 or something for a spotted Congo puffer and they're just everywhere? I can't. It sure would be great, but it used to be a thing. No, yeah, it's her fault. Oh, that's right. We can just start blaming her for everything. Yes. That's why you have children, right? To get things for you when they're big enough to blame them for everything. Yeah, she doesn't need to talk back. She screams when she is upset. So, that's more efficient. I wish I could do that every time life didn't agree with me. Ooh, you did get the betta and tuda? Yeah, those are great. Any wild betta, in my opinion, I don't think you can go wrong with wild bettas. I really don't. They are such underrated fish on the whole. There are some that are more difficult that I would say, like obviously, if you're going to invest in a paramacrostoma, I would urge you to make sure you are ready for that because they're not sensitive, but they're physically challenging because of their strength. Like they will bust out of your tank, and they're very expensive rare fish. But yeah, like chinoides and alba marginata, the antuta, the samorum. There's so many cool cosina. I love my cosina. There's so many cool wild bettas that I think are personality wise just as enjoyable as like esplendens. And I mean, I don't have anything against. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. I don't have anything against typical bettas, the splendens. I don't really have like. I've kept many and I like them a lot. They're just like Oscars. They're just so mistreated that it gets really old watching it happen when you're somebody who cares. I think everybody can understand that. Yeah, screaming is not the way. Well, it works for her. It's very efficient for her. For with me at least, he is so calm when she cries and throws a fit, and I'm like on the floor, like just oh my god. And I know that's like a lot of that is just how you're wired, but it is crazy to me how he's just like, do do do. It's a talent. It's great. If I could be like that, I would. But like, what do you need? What do you want? What can I do? How do I make it stop? Leo, you bought a terracotta pot for the Antuta, but it has a smell to it. Oh, what kind of smell? Does it smell like fertilizer? Did you get it from like a plant store? Where'd you get it from? Because I think sometimes with those pots, they sit like I know a lot of the plant places by me, they had their pots near out with like outdoors with the plants and stuff, and they'd spray stuff, and I don't know, that could get a little hairy. Fish capades have I own some wild bettas that have been at one of my LFS for seriously months. I don't know why. Probably know why they aren't splendid with it. Yeah, that I had mentioned to the owners at Aquarium Depot in Citrus Heights back home. I remember I said to them, "Hey, I've been keeping some wild bettas, but I'm having trouble getting my hands on different species. If you guys ever see any available, and you bring them in, I'll buy them. And so they started bringing some in, and I bought some, like I said I would. But then I believe that they had some success because for a minute I'd see them move, but then they started bringing in like way more expensive because there are more expensive wild bettas. They're not cheap. None of them are really cheap, but some are definitely more expensive than others. And when they brought them in, they kind of sat for a long time. I think one pair I ended up buying because I was like, oh, these are just gonna sit forever. But it's people don't know what they are. They don't know what they are. They need to take a risk on these because they're really like a lot of them are very low maintenance and really enjoyable. Reader, I got them from sells. Oh, you're talking about her. Trying to catch up because this doesn't show me that much. Rage rooms. Rage rooms. Plus side wild bettas probably are more stable genetically and won't trend. Yeah, exactly. They are not kept widely enough or sought out after enough to be inbred and mistreated and mass shipped and produced like they are. So yes, they are much more sound. As it's possible to get like a weaker batch, which happens with all fish. It just depends on where you get them from. But for the most part, yeah, definitely healthier overall. Thank you, Leo. Oh, good. I'm sure he's glad. You still love him. Yeah, new stream. God, my ears are not made for any headphones. So unfortunate. I brought Golden Wonder Killie Fry to one of my LFS and they sat a while too. Apparently, no one here knows that they are and how pretty they get. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's funny because those are what I call Petco fish, which I don't like bestowing that term, but you can get them at Petco. They're not a crazy difficult species to find. They're so fun to keep. I loved all my Golden Wonders. And once they mature, especially the males, they're gorgeous. But they are, again, those are jumpers. I had those jump and it was entertaining to watch them jump, but I didn't want them jumping out of the tank. So, but I could see those sitting for a while, people not knowing what they are. Hmm. Lots of old breakable things safe in landfills. Oh yeah, they have places like that in Sacramento. They have like the rooms you can go and destroy everything. Yeah. If I make eye contact with the betta, I'm taking it home. I like it. That's a good. You're gonna end up with a lot of bettas, my friend. Better have a betta wall, like a one that has like 5-gallon tanks everywhere. That'd be sweet. Ooh, I like that idea. A wall of like 5-gallon betta tanks. You keep that would be a cool way to keep splendens. My pair has yet to jump. Yeah, they are prolific. Although I've said it many times, there's no more prolific and talented jumper than the macrostoma. I've never seen any fish jump that efficiently out of like a half millimeter of space when they're like 4 inches long. It's crazy. Kiwi sweat banana. Those are good names. I like it. You got it from Ace. Sometimes they're sprayed with stuff too. Like, I don't know. I'm very leery of buying stuff like that just because you might just want to soak it, Leo. Like, let it soak, maybe in some like I'm trying to think, I don't know, bleach or something, and then put it out in the sun for like a day. I know that's a lot of extra work, but just in case. Oh, thanks, Bougie. Yeah, those Galaris, man. That's exciting because that is a fish that like, oh God, that's a pretty fish. And I think it's unreal how long I looked for them and couldn't find them. It was probably like 3 years that I was looking for them, and I just couldn't track them down because I would have paid. At that point, I would have paid probably a good penny for them because like, I wanted them so bad and I couldn't find them. But I've gotten like that about many fish where I was like, I don't even care if it's a $5 fish that's going to cost me $100. I want it that bad. I've done deep dives for certain fish, and I think the biggest luck out I ever had was when I was looking for more zebra cara, and I found this little breeder off Aquabid who was in Oregon, and she sent me 10 juvenile uh, zebra cara along with 10 checkerboard cichlids for $200, and they were individually packed. It was some Dan's fish magic. Like when I unwrapped the box from this girl, I was like, oh my God, I have never seen anybody individually double wrap like these tiny, perfect little bags that were perfect size for all the fish. None of them had, they all arrived great. They were all super healthy. Oh, yeah, you know what? We don't have Pandagara. I think I was mentioning that to Bob about the Pandagara. I was like, yeah, why do we not have Pandagara? We're trying to keep, bringing more into a minimum, which is so difficult, I think, for both of us, probably more for me, because I just get so tempted every time I see something. We were going to, we had to go to Home Depot, and our Home Depot didn't have what we needed, so we had to go to Home Depot, a different Home Depot that's a little further out, and there's a pet store called Bridges, which is enormous and has like everything you could ever imagine. And we went and looked at all the fish. And I feel like I'm 7 years old again every time I'm in a fish store. I just get those like my eyes glaze over. I start going, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. It's a problem. And it's funny because their fish come from where we get most of our fish from, but it's still like, and I can get them, in other ways easier, but I still get tempted every time I go in a fish store or a reptile store and I see animals. I lose all sense of control. I can't find any more CW 27 hyphen Brevirostris quarries to save my life. I have 2 I got in an assorted quarry tank, and I've been looking for one. That's story of my life, dude. That's the worst. I feel for you because I've had that happen. Like an oops fish or one that you could only find 2 of that somebody left 2 of, which I'll never understand ever. Or, 2 survived or whatever. But that's frustrating. I wish you good luck there. Because it's really frustrating when you have a couple and you're like, I love these fish. I just want to keep more of them. I could fit 6 just on the wall where my tanks are. 8 if I'm in the freezer, I've measured. See, everybody's waiting for their opportunity. Sparkling brownies do look wild, but I wonder if some people call them that. The sparkling gouramis I've kept also. I love sparkling gourami. They're very, very. I don't really love nanofish. I'm not one of those people. I like my medium-sized cichlids a lot. But as far as like, I don't know, anything nano goes, I absolutely adore sparkling gourami, licorice gourami, different types of gourami, croaking gourami. They're very cool. And they're a little more sensitive. I will say that. They're a little more sensitive to water quality than some fish. They're worth it. Feel bad for the 2 quarries I had because they won't school with my Paleotis group. They're racist. It's funny to me because some fish will absolutely just join right up with another school, specifically quarries, and then some won't. I've seen it go both ways. It's very interesting though. Like I wonder what the thinking is behind that for the fish. Like why won't they? Why will some and some won't? We only have PetSmart and Petco in Idaho Falls. Oh, I miss real aquarium stores. I'm sorry. We don't have a lot here. The one that I was referencing is not super close. I was spoiled in Sacramento. We had a ton. I mean, 4 or 5 fish stores that I could get to within 25 minutes, and it wasn't difficult. So I was spoiled. Plus, a really strong aquarium society where if you needed something, you could usually find it not far from you, also, which was great. I think having a strong aquarium society in your area is a real win for fish keepers because it can be very discouraging if you have a society that's not very accepting or that's like not super strong or like consistent in how they do things. But Sacramento Aquarium Society is not like that. They're one of the really good ones, and I was very fortunate. And hopefully, when we get back down there, we can be more involved because there's a lot of cool stuff that they do and a lot of really cool fish keepers within that society. I'm lucky I lived within 15 minutes of 5 LFS and 2 box stores. Yep, that was pretty much. I had a ton of box stores. I could go to like one of 10 Petcos or PetSmarts, but having a lot of local fish stores. We also had a local reptile store, which I loved, and they had some fish too every now and then. Just stuff they bred or like nothing crazy, but it was a really cool store. They're good people. I did have some sparkling gouramis spawn early and hatch out, but I couldn't keep them fed back. Oh yeah, they're tiny. And they're really little. I could see how that would be a thing. But they're so cool, and bubble nesters, very cool to watch. Very, very cool to watch. I'm bummed I never even saw our paradise fish spawn. They were just babies all of a sudden, which, I'm not complaining about the babies, but it was like, where are these coming from? I never saw anything happen. Growing up close to a fish reptile store shaped my entire life. That is a very profound statement. I would have to agree. It shaped my life as well. I had Capital Aquarium, which many people know about, even people not from Sacramento. It was a very popular store. The owner was very passionate. It was a really cool store, and going there as a kid, it was such, I don't know, it was such a point of joy, like a source of joy for me. And the people that worked there were really passionate. And I think I mentioned before, like my mom or my grandma, whoever took me, 'cause they both took me to the aquarium store a lot. But whoever took me when I wanted to buy a fish, even at like 7 years old, 8 years old, they'd both be like, okay, you go talk to the employees and you ask them questions. You see if these fish will work together. They fit in your tank, what you need for them, what they need to eat. They made me go ask all these questions because my mom was really adamant on, we'll allow you to have these animals, but you're going to take care of them properly. And so it shaped my life. I was very fortunate to have that right there. We had a couple other local pet stores too. Pet Connection was one of them that I went to a lot, and just cool stuff that we had a pet store that was right by my mom's house where the lady basically let me be like an honorary employee when I was there. I went in the back. I held all the animals. She put up with my crap because I was just so relentless. And she was so good to me. She'd save animals for me until she knew I could break my mom down to come buy them. And she'd keep them, and Sally was her name. She was great. I'd be in trouble if I had a nice LFS. There's that too. It can bankrupt you also. Oh, Dave, you attend Sacramento Society meetings. Nice. Maybe we'll see you there in the near future. How rude they didn't wait for you. Yeah, right. It does suck not having. Yeah. Oh, 50 minutes, Curtis. That's brutal. I'm sorry. That's a long. I don't think I'd just be ordering them all the time at that point. I dread going to the LFS or box store because I know I will be on the verge of tears. Yeah, it's hard. We're fortunate because we've said many times our Petco that we actually go to regularly. We know the person that works in the fish and small animal area, and everything's very well taken care of. Yes, there's death. It's Petco. They're only allowed to do so much. They're not even allowed to use medication. They have medication everywhere, but if they have a sick fish, they cannot use medication. So it's really not their fault. It's like the bureaucracy sucks, but for the most part, they're really, really, really vigilant about trying to keep these animals healthy, and it's nice. Yeah, can't wait to be a part of the Sacramento Aquarium Society. It's going to be fun. I really enjoyed everything they did. They're a great club. Love the folks there. Yep. See? Yes. That is going to be their new name, the Sacramento Proper Aquarium Society, except for they have their meetings in unincorporated Sacramento, so Sacramento County, which is Sacramento, but not Sacramento proper. But it's fine. Capital was the best. Capital was the best. I can't even count how much time, like hours, that I spent just looking at everything there. It was a joyous place to go. I believe it is now a restaurant. It was a dental office for a long time. I believe it is now a restaurant. So there's a frog in here. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but we have a lot of tree frogs in the fish room. You'll see them just swimming through tanks, hopping across the floor. It's great. Nature comes in also. Barbara loved my LFS. They bring them tons of guppy grass and give me food. It's a win-win. If you can build a good relationship with them, it's pretty amazing. Whoa, what's happening? Something's happening. I don't know what. Oh, okay. Sorry. Things are happening around me. 360 Aquatics are actually now a co-op retail store. I believe Steven did a video on them. Oh, that's cool. O Street. Oh yeah, I forgot about O Street. I always forget about O Street. I don't know why. I didn't go there as much because Capital was so great. But yeah, O Street was They were around for a very long time. They did have nurse sharks. Yep. There was another some giant space opened up in like the How About Arden Retail Center, and they opened this giant aquarium store that had like 10% of the space filled. And I remember watching them build a shark tank, and I'm like, oh God, what are they going to try and do? Because I feel like every time I see shark tanks go in, I'm just nervous. 'Cause I'm like, it's not easy to keep them regardless, even the ones that are keepable. And they got like black tips, I think, and it didn't last long. The store went under in less than like a year and a half. It was really sad because I was excited. So when I was an adult and I thought, oh, cool, like they're gonna actually bring some bring some aquarium stuff back, because at that point the hobby was very. That's why Capital closed, because there wasn't enough interest in the hobby at the time when the owner passed. His kids were like, "This isn't viable. We don't care as much as their father cared," and it was just really unfortunate. But one of my LFS is black tip sharks. If you are really vigilant, you can keep them. But I have seen it go wrong far more than I've seen it go right. And it's so sad because these animals just, you think about like where they come from or where they're supposed to be. They should not be in these tiny little tanks. It's weird. What? Okay. Trying to capture the bubble nest creation, but the rice jumping in shot. It's funny. Bubble nests are impressive. That's what I was saying before. It's cool to watch them build these things because some of them are quite large. Like our Betasamorum, they built some pretty gnarly bubble nests, and when we first got them, it was really fun to watch because they're large themselves. Yeah, 2 out of 3 of you people need to make better life choices, FYI, says Zen. Black tips get huge realistically they need a large yeah, exactly. That's my point. Like you can keep them for probably 6 months to a year, and then what are you going to do with them? That's the thing is I know with some aquariums that when they keep them, they do go on to other places. They are raising them with the intention of sending them to somewhere that they can be long term. But this store that I was referencing in Sacramento, I was like, I knew like these people do not know what they're doing. They had, like I said, they had so much space that they didn't utilize, and they had like a bunch of goldfish and like dying. It just was depressing. And they're like, oh, don't get sharks. You guys are not the ones to have sharks. I already know. Yeah, it is impressive that fish are. I'm always that's half of. That's even more than half of my reason for keeping fish and reptiles is watching them do the amazing things they do. That's why I don't care so much about like bright colors or fancy looking fish. People love the salt water and all the colors. I'm like, I just like watching their behavior. That's my favorite part. And some of them are so funny. My LFS has their black tips in a huge tank at the back of the store, like floor to ceiling tank. And that, that can be okay for a while, but I still feel like long term these fish deserve far more than we can give them. Most places can give them, other than maybe aquariums. But, you know, I also don't want to badmouth all because I know some of them do it the right way, and I can't say anything bad about that. So, yeah, technically, you are correct, Thomas. None of them should be in glass boxes. However, a shark versus like a cichlid that's, 8 to 10 inch cichlid, I can handle that. A 6 foot shark, I can't handle that. I know where I can handle a 6 foot lizard, not a shark though. And I think it's just those kind of things where it's like common sense, where you go, okay, I can't have an arapaima. You know what I mean? It's just gonna be the way it is. Yeah, and then there's the whole we shouldn't have dogs and cats in our homes. Yeah, yeah. But PETA can bite me. PETA's they're extremists. I don't like PETA. Their methodology does not help animals. Like it really, in my opinion, it does not. The same LFS by me with the black tips have Goliath groupers with them too. Jesus, yeah, that's interesting. Capital had a really huge South American tank that was a floor to ceiling tank that It's funny because when I look back at videos of it, it looks so much smaller than, I mean, it's still huge. It's probably thousands of gallons, but it looks so much smaller in the videos than I remember it being when I was a little kid staring up at like the giant stuff that was in there. Kenny, you love watching your EVA make all these little divots or bowls in the sand. Yep, keep their frying. That was part of my enjoyment with them was their behavior around spawning, which it seems like at least mine were constantly spawning all the time. The male was always doing his feats of strength for the ladies, ripping my plants out and digging pits and shimmying all around. It was very enjoyable and frustrating all at the same time. Was it a thousand gallons? Okay, yeah, that sounds right. It was big, especially big when I was 7. It looked huge. They also had Smud, the electric eel, and Elvis, the alligator, which he did go on to greater, larger places. Remember it being huge, also not much bigger than Corey's 800. Yeah, Corey's 800 is a different shape though. Like it's almost like if you turned it on its side, that's how it was at Capitol because it was taller than it was wide. But it was really cool. I still really like that tank. Looking at my Loach's behavior, I'm pretty sure they're not built for it. Oh yeah, they are very derpy. It's very true. I prefer blue Acara and yellow Acara to the EVA. Still haven't kept any though. I've kept blue Acara. I looked for regular blue Acara for a long time, and I was sold green terrors 3 times when they were juveniles. They were really, really small, and I even said like these aren't gonna be blue Acaras, and I knew every time because of the seam on the tail. And every time they turned out to be green terrors. And I actually at Exotic Aquarium before it burned down. So this was probably like 2020, 2021, I was able to find a group of real blue acara, and they were in the most horrific shape I've ever seen fish in. Like I swore buying this fish, I was like, it's gonna die by the end of the night. But I was able to. It took me probably 6 months to get that fish to the point where it was healthy. But it was beautiful. Regular blue acara are beautiful. Yellow acara are beautiful. I'm just a huge fan of acara. But yeah, keeping the blue acara was. I'd love to have more. They're very very cool. I think Byerly has some of the Capitol's big tanks. Yeah, I believe he does. I was actually, you know what's funny? I was just watching Rich Byerly's tour, like the big long one that's like 2 hours long. I rewatched it, and I think I was showing Bob some stuff because I was like, look, the way he keeps tanks is like his by, and I have nothing but respect for him because he keeps some crazy stuff and he's done a lot of really cool stuff. But his room, his warehouse is not perfect. It's not super super clean and tidy. It's just like it's not realistic when I see fish rooms like that. So when I see Rich's stuff, I'm like, yeah, buddy, that's how it is. That's when you have that much going on. Plus, I don't know if he's still doing it, but I know even then he was doing all his water changes by hand. I have no idea how because we get overwhelmed just with the amount of tanks we have doing it ourselves. He's got thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons of water in that warehouse, and that's a full-time job for multiple people. I know. I think he has an older daughter. His daughter's probably like getting older, and I know she helped. He'd say that she helped. Still, it's a lot, even for a few people. A co-worker just walked by my office and said, "Did I just hear her say Capital Aquarium?" Oh, see, I don't care if you keep fish or not. You always, if you know Capital Aquarium, it like warms the cockles of your heart to talk about it because it was a magical place. Very fortunate if you got to go to Capitol Aquarium. Jeremy keeps his sharks in a 3,500 gallon with 1,000 gallon sump, but the sharks he keeps are basically saltwater catfish, not. Yeah, that's okay. Like, I don't have a problem with that because I know what you're talking about. And that I think is doable. And that sounds like a good amount of space for them. Still, I mean, it's a challenging fish to keep for sure. Ocean Aquarium at SF is like a private person's fish room. It's very cool, and people are really awesome.
Rocus splendens fry in there.
And where?
That's top 40.
Oh, we found more corridors fry. Apparently, they're in every tank. Yeah, Ocean Aquarium's great. Justin and Addie are really nice people. I used to get a lot of my West Africans from him. He also, it's funny because one time I had called them, I was looking for the maculatus, the Dichrosis maculatus, the spade tail checkerboard cichlids. And he had a male and female. He's like, I have one pair. He's like, I have multiple female, but I have one male and I'll save him for you. I was like, okay, I'm on my way. So I drive down to San Francisco, you know, just a hop, skip, and a jump from Sacramento. I get there probably around like 11 or noon. Like it wasn't super late. It was like midday. And I was like, I want to get out of here. My plan was to get the hell out by 2. Because if you don't get out by 2, it's all over down there. So I went and bought, I went to the ADA store, what is it called? Aquaforest. I grabbed some other fish there. I walked back to Ocean. I was waiting for him to catch them. So we were having trouble. His tanks are so planted. They're so heavily planted that you can't find anything. So the male kept running. And he's like, just come back in like an hour. And I'm like, okay, cool, no worries. Like, all good. I'll come back in an hour. I'll get these and I'll be Dee Mao. I'm out. Like, so so I come back. He's like, he's drained half the tank at this point. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Addie starts laughing. She's like, this tank hasn't been drained in 15 years. And but they were so nice. He was like, no, you drove all the way down here. We knew this is no problem. It's no big deal. But like he doesn't change his water. He doesn't change he doesn't do water changes like normal people. He's not a normal person. He's able to do things that I've never seen done before. And they ended up draining 90% of the water out of the tank just to find this pair for me. And lo and behold, it ended up. I don't think they didn't last like 6 months. It was so sad. I've never been able to keep checkerboard cichlid ever. It's just not meant for me, I guess. But Ocean Aquarium is an experience for sure. He's having a hard time. People should support them. Honestly, I just want to like throw that out there. If you're in that area, go buy stuff from him because he was telling me last time I was there how hard it was to get stuff, especially stuff in like South Africa, all the really cool stuff that he'd have. It was getting harder to get because these importers want exorbitant amounts of money and or to make huge orders, and he just doesn't have the capacity to keep that many fish in that small a space. But the fish that he keeps are beautiful and healthy and rare, and it's like so I feel for him, and I know they deserve support. They're really good people. I just searched yellow Akara and nobody has any in stock, but I did come across your guys' website and now I have to have a zebra Akara. I would recommend zebra Akara to everybody. However, I would recommend you keep them in a species only tank. That is one thing about like I kept my female in a community, but they do much better in species only tanks. My male was so aggressive, I could not even keep a I tried to put what was like a rubber lip pleco in his tank, and I figured, okay, this is innocuous. Like they won't care about each other. His goal from the second that poor Pleco hit the water was to kill it, and I had to immediately take it out. I tried him in a community tank. He was awful.
There's some Pleco fry in there too.
Well, there's Pleco fry, so we're just finding all kinds of fry. Just what's happening right now. This is a productive stream, apparently. But yeah, you should look into. I would definitely recommend. Like you could keep a pair in a 40 breeder, no problem, and it would be worth it. You would see them all the time. They interact. They're very cool fish. Also, the if you can find them ever, because Imperial has been the only ones that I've ever seen have them, and they've been sold out for months. The yellow banded Akara, the Bujerquina batata, they're the biparental mouth brooders that I kept for a really long time. Those are amazing fish. I've been looking every so often on Imperial's site just to see if they have any more, but I think they bred them there and they must have either stopped or I don't know. I haven't seen them for a long time, and I wish they'd come back because that's a fish that I will keep again. Totally worth it. I got all gold guppies from them. Their tank is still breeding like crazy. 5 years later, they're so pretty. I love the owners. Yeah. Yep. They care about their fish. He will take all the time in the world to sit and have a conversation with you. If you're passionate about what you do, he can pick up on that. He will tell you all about how he does things. I mean, he's a wealth of information because I don't think I could do what he does as far as like the no water changes and the no nothing and the whatever. But he's definitely someone to take advice from.
So the eel for the center.
Thank you. Where's she? Oh. I love halogen bulbs from all kinds of brands because they have UVA and IR light heat. Arcadia is my favorite, personally. I just feel like their bulbs are higher quality. I don't know. Like they last longer. I don't have as many issues with them. I hate reptile lighting. I can't, don't even get me started. That's something that pisses me off beyond. I've wasted so much money. Just it's ridiculous. I don't know what I don't. They know what they're doing in that industry to make money. It's crazy. Dan shows yellow Akara on his site, but out of stock. So the yellow Akara that Dan has, I believe, are the oh god, now I'm gonna draw a blank. I kept the Equidens Mete. I believe that's what he's had, and they're also amazing fish. I'd recommend. I've kept those as well. They're great. I prefer the yellow banded Akara because I love the biparental mouth brooding. That's was part of the draw for me because when I received my female from Imperial, she was holding fry already. Like unfortunately, they didn't survive, but when she was shipped, I'm sure they didn't know she was holding fry. She released some in the bag, and I was like, "Oh my god, this fish!" And I did a little research, and I was like, "Wow, these are really cool fish. No one keeps them." And I asked them very nicely if they'd send me a male because they did not have them listed by sex. It was just whatever, and they were nice enough to send me a gorgeous, full-grown, ready-to-go male, and they were spawning within days when I got them, and I had many a fry from them. They were great fish. What store are you talking about? Ocean? Because that's what we were talking about with Ocean Aquarium. It's in San Francisco. Corey, I think Corey's been there a few times. He likes it. He's sung their praises a few times, from what I recall. And as everyone should, honestly, if not for just his methodology of keeping fish, do I think it's applicable for everyone? Absolutely not. I don't think a lot of people could do what that guy does. It's pretty crazy, but it works for him. He has very healthy fish, beautiful tanks, and I think there's a lot to learn that you could take little bits and pieces from what he does. But it's a really, if not just to visit, because it's a very cool store. It's very quirky, packed to the gills with stuff in the stores, like crazy amounts of stuff everywhere. But yeah, it's unfortunately where it is in San Francisco is not the easiest to get to park or feel safe in anymore. I am not somebody who ever feels really unsafe anywhere. I'm not one of the I just feel pretty comfortable, and especially because I spend a lot of time in big cities. And I'm starting to feel uncomfortable when I go to Ocean Aquarium because of the crime and how San Francisco's gotten. And it breaks my heart. It really does because I love San Francisco. Loved going there growing up. A lot of cool stuff there. Just not the safest place to be anymore, sadly. I'm not sure I would want them to breed if I'm being honest. Not sure I would rehome babies. That's a very realistic stance to take. If you don't have somewhere that you know you can take fry, or if you can't keep them yourself, it's almost better just to keep something for fun and not breed them at that point.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we're done. And it's over, apparently.
We can do one more little.
The child is back. She's so quiet.
Oh no! Now she looks angry.
Oh, great. So you can see her pissed off. She's pissed. There she is. Oh, well, maybe she's pooping.
She has been farting.
Pissed or pooping? You take look at her face.
That's a poop face
She's
if I've ever seen.
so angry. On that note, I'm sure I have a diaper to change, so gonna go do that. So thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you
for being here and hanging out and listening to me. This is the first real thing I've done in a long time, so this is nice. Like a person, kind of, a little bit.
See you.
Bye. I don't know how to do this.
I'll do it. It's up here.
Okay, bye.